Hi everyone, Marla Miller from marlamiller.com presenting our second installment of Finding the Right Editor Show Don't Tell. But this is the first video that I'm doing for the series that we hope is going to be very helpful to writers on the road to publication. I decided to use my own experience in finding an editor for my fiction because I figured that if it's as challenging as it is for me to find that right fit, then perhaps it's as challenging, maybe even more so, for those of you who don't have a lot of experience in the publishing world. This is not the first time I've hired an editor. It's, I think, the third time, but it was a while ago that I had an editor for my fiction. I have been published in nonfiction consistently for over 20 years, and so I've worked with editors for many, many years. I can kind of tell the good ones from the not so good ones, but when it comes to fiction, because you're going to be working with that person for a while, there are lots of factors that fall into the equation that I think authors perhaps don't quite understand until they're in the process with the editor. You certainly want to find an editor who you enjoy working with, but you also have to find an editor who's willing to give you tough love. Because when you're writing fiction, there are very few of us out here that don't need the eagle eye of an editor telling us, you think that's good, but it could be better. So what I have done here for our first installment is I have posted the first 2 pages of Sweet Spot, which is a novel that I wrote years ago and decided to dig out of my hard drive and critique online, which I've done for almost a year now at an online critique group called critiquecircle.com, which I really like. I'm going to put the URL on the website for you. And then after I did that, I decided that I'm not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm going to try and traditionally publish or if I'm going to be an entrepreneurial author and publish independently. And I have experience in both. I'm just not sure where it's going to go. But here's the thing that I know. I am not going to publish a novel that in 2 years from now I'm going to be embarrassed of. I'm just not going to do it. And I have seen way too many writers do that. I think that for some writers, and I would suggest that those writers are not very experienced, when they saw the entrepreneurial movement, author movement blossom, when they saw the opportunity to bypass traditional publishing and go to places like CreateSpace and Kindle Select and Smashwords, they said, yippee, don't need the agent editor complex anymore. Well, that's true, and that is true. Writers don't. But given what I have read on these sites, and not all of them, but some of them, I think that writers are really pushing it. They're prematurely publishing, and I don't want to be one of them. I have 3 books to my name, and I'm proud of every single one of them. 1 was published traditionally, and 2 have been published independently, and in 5 years from now, I'll still be proud of those books. And I want Sweet Spot and the other novel that I hope to publish, Deadly Little Secrets, I want to be as proud of those books as I am of the ones that are already in the marketplace. So here's what we did. We published, I presented the first 2 pages of Sweet Spot without edits, and then I presented those same 2 pages and included all of Tiffany's edits, and so I want you to take a look at it. For those of you who don't have a lot of experience with editors, this is what the process looks like. But I'm also going to be talking about other things that over time, one of them is the relatability of the protagonist. For my own story, that's been an issue for my editor. Another issue is time sequencing and how important your backstory is to the story that you're telling. So you better make sure that you've set that up. You've developed that well enough. And probably a couple of other editorial areas that we will explore. I'm hoping that Tiffany will join me in a webinar where we can talk back and forth. I think that should be pretty easy to do now. There's so many applications out there that we can jump on and then talk to you. So we'll be doing that. But I also want to share with you my initial reaction when I got my manuscript back from Tiffany, because she has edited the entire manuscript, so I know what the strong points are, and I know what the parts of the novel are that I believe, that I agree with her, need to be reworked. So my first reaction was disappointment, because I was really hoping that she would say, you know, this puppy's ready to go. You need a little bit of editing here and there, but she's ready to sail. And she did not say that. So I had to lick my wounds for a few days and go, well, do I really want to spend my time doing this because it's not ready to publish right now? And after a couple of days, I decided that I absolutely do want to publish Sweet Spot. And I will publish Sweet Spot. It's a coming-of-age novel, but the coming-of-age is my protagonist is in midlife when she comes of age, and that because of that sequencing, she meets with all kinds of conflict. And you know, Barney Conrad, who's one of my mentors, what he says about fiction is that we don't read fiction for the facts in the story, we read it for conflict, conflict, conflict. And when your protagonist comes of age in midlife, there's just lots of conflict that are there to greet them. And I'm thinking, you know, most recently in the news of General Petraeus. And if in fact this guy, if this isn't associated with any kind of espionage, or which I don't think it is, it doesn't seem like it is, this is a guy in midlife who just went a little crazy. He had a huge midlife crisis. And, you know, perhaps one of the things that he was dealing with is what Darlene Robinson, my protagonist, is dealing with at the beginning of Sweet Spot, and that is she sees herself getting older, not happier, and it scares her. And so everything that falls from that is what Sweet Spot is about, and I've got to make that story better so that I can reach the audience that I want to reach, which is about 60 million midlife and beyond readers out here who, you know, understand a woman like Darlene, but I have to make them understand her more than perhaps readers who aren't as knowledgeable of this story as I am need to know for them to keep turning the page. So let me know if you think it's helpful. We're hoping that it will be, and until I see you again here or online, be well and keep writing, because you and I both know writing is rewriting. Happy Thanksgiving.